Good morning, everyone. 20Books Vegas crowd. My name is Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I'm going to be talking about killing it on Kobo. Obviously, based on a book of the same name available on a retailer near you. Just a little bit of a background on who I am. This is a slide to try and show you that I'm impressive and I got to hang out with really, really cool people. That's all it is, but it is important because branding, which we're going to talk about, is important. And when you're thinking about publishing to another platform like Kobo, the brand, the look is a really important thing. I've been a writer since long before the internet, cell phones. I actually wrote my first manuscript on a typewriter way back in the day. I've been a bookseller since 1992, and I've worked in every type of bookstore imaginable. That's also the same year I sold my very first short story. I'm a former president of the Canadian Booksellers Association, board member of BookNet Canada, which kind of does like Nielsen Bookscan stuff in Canada, as well as other great things. I was the director of self-publishing and author relations for Kobo, so I do have some insights because I didn't build the platform. Smarter people than me did, but I got to lead that team. Wrote Kobo Writing Life, and I work as the director of business development at Draft to Digital, which is a partner of all the retailers. We love to work collaboratively with them, and I'm an author or editor of more than 30 books and hundreds of short stories. So some biases you're going to get is you're going to obviously get positive biases for Kobo or Kobo Writing Life. Otherwise, I shouldn't be talking about it. I was like, I'm going to say bad things about Kobo. Obviously, I'm going to have positive bias towards Draft to Digital. I think that goes without saying. I always had, even before I started working with them. I may mention Tim Hortons because that's way better than Starbucks. Hockey, poutine. Dad jokes and earworms may come up. I can't make any promises. But a bit of a background on Kobo, because I do want to give you a bit of a background layer for Kobo, just in case you're not familiar with it, because understanding the platform before you publish there is really, really critical. So Kobo was founded in 2009. It was born out of Indigo. Think of it like Barnes & Noble, Canada's largest, I said largest ebook retailer, book retailer. That's obviously a typo because you do need editors even on PowerPoints. Now, the original name for the company was called Short Covers because the belief was that, well, on a phone, it was just a free app on a phone. No one's going to read anything more than a couple pages, right? No one would actually ever dare read a book electronically. Think about that, how naive we were back then in 2009. But the philosophy was that anyone should be able to read any book on any device at any time. And that is part of the love and passion of Kobo still. So in February 2009, there was a cloud e-reading service, which was free for all devices. As a matter of fact, when the CEO of Kobo was at a conference talking about Kobo, on my laptop, I created, it was Short Covers back then, I created an account, and I published a short story, and the guy across from the table downloaded and read the short story in the time of his talk. So it was a really sophisticated system back in those dark ages. They changed the name to Kobo in December 2009. Rakuten, I'll talk about them, acquired Kobo in 2012, shortly after I had joined the company. And Kobo is not a Japanese name. It's an anagram for book. So you can use that potentially to win a bar bet and get someone to buy you a overly priced beer here at Bally's. So Rakuten, a few years ago, celebrated their 20th anniversary. If you're not familiar with Rakuten, they are Amazon size in Japan, and they own so many different companies: Ebates, Price Minister, Viber. They did actually own Overdrive for several years, but they are well-established, older long. They've got lots of properties, and Rakuten is basically a really great thing for Kobo, helping to fund them and keep them going at a time when it was a real challenge. And with the powerhouse of Rakuten and Kobo working together, Rakuten acquired Kobo because they thought they were the best partnering ebook retailer, and that's part of the Kobo brands because they have retail partnerships around the world. It's not just Kobo.com. When you publish your book to Kobo, your book's going to be available on a whole bunch of retail partner websites. So that is a really significant thing when you're thinking about that. You're not just in a country. For example, you're not just on Kobo.com in France, you're on Fnac. And in Italy, you're not just on Kobo, you're on Mondadori and Lefebvre, which are the two massive chains of bookshops. Now, they also own and acquired Tolino, which is a massive German platform. As a matter of fact, Tolino is Amazon size. Amazon and Tolino probably each have about 40% of the market in Germany. And ironically, you can't get to Tolino from Kobo. You have to, the best way is actually through Draft to Digital. It's just the way that the company was set up because they still operate quite independently. There are algorithms that work at Kobo. That's really important. But there's a lot of manual and human curation, and that's something you're going to have to remember. It's not just for Kobo, but that's also for places like Apple and Barnes & Noble as well. Kobo was born out of a chain of physical booksellers, so you're going to get a lot of that same mentality of booksellers. And what happened is, having been a bookseller myself, I would meet with sales reps and decide what books am I going to bring into my store, but which ones am I going to feature on the front tables, on the end caps, etc. And so these features are selected and the titles are spotlit by merchandisers in Canada, the US, the UK, for example, and they all have independently. They probably have about 16 unique bookshops that are merchandised very exclusively. So if you go to Amazon.ca or Kobo in Canada, you're going to see a different feature page than you'll see on Kobo in the US because they've got different teams. They may collaborate and do big promos, like for Black Friday is going to be pretty consistent, but they may be featuring different titles based on, well, because they work with a lot of publishers, sometimes the Random House Canada version is different than the one from the UK. The Kobo Writing Life was created by authors for authors. I was really fond of the original logo we created. You can see it got adapted, and then we went with Rakuten Red later on. So that's just a bit of the evolution. But here's how the terms work, and I'm talking about if you're publishing directly with Kobo Writing Life. It's 70% royalties on ebooks priced $2.99 or higher. Now at the low end, interestingly enough, the low end, if you go below $2.99, once you go down to 99 cents, you're making 45%, not 35%. So it's 10% higher, and you're welcome, because that was one of the things I set up. I wanted it to be a little bit better than what you get from KDP. But you can make it free at any time without any exclusivity required, and you can go north of $9.99 and still make the full 70%. And so box sets we're going to talk about are really, really critical. And you get paid in the currency of your choice electronically. So as a Canadian, I get paid in Canadian dollars, and you can get paid in US or pounds or whatever it is. Again, you maintain all the rights. You're the publisher, not all that different than KDP. Prior to SCRIBECOUNT coming out, I used to say that they had the world's sexiest dashboard, but in the last 6-7 months with SCRIBECOUNT, I'm like, I don't know, SCRIBECOUNT's pretty damn sexy if you've seen some of theirs. But it is a customizable dashboard with real-time purchasing. It's usually only about 15 to 20 minutes behind on Kobo sales. Now, with their partner sales, of course, it's going to be 24, 48 hours behind, which is why you may see, wait a second, yesterday it said I had 10 sales on this title, but now I have 14. That's because they get the sales reports back from, let's say, Indigo or WH Smith or one of their other partners, which they only get a daily feed for. You have pricing control over territories, and that's going to be one of the things that we're going to look at is territorial pricing is really important. And you can track your free downloads, et cetera, which are also important. This is sort of the dashboard, not all that different than KDP. You enter your metadata, you upload your book, select your rights, you enter the price. We'll get into some of the details. You can schedule price changes, which is an important thing. Whether you're going to Kobo directly or whether you're using Draft to Digital, you can go in and schedule a price. So if you're planning, let's say, a Black Friday sale and you want to drop a book to 99 cents, where, I mean, on Amazon, they will let you schedule it if you're exclusive, but if you're not exclusive, you got to go in, say, well, maybe 6 hours before midnight, maybe I change it. But with this, you can set it and forget it. You're not going to forget it, but you're going to set it, and at midnight local time, for the regions, so Australia, the UK, over here in our various time zones in North America, it'll flip to 99 cents, 12:01 a.m., and then flip back on the day after. So it kind of saves you some time. And obviously you saw that was in the different territories you could do it. And then of course you can also set up pre-orders, which is really important, and I wanted to share that. So pre-orders, this is the first really cool thing that's a little bit different than pre-orders on Amazon, let's say, is a pre-order at Kobo counts for 2 times the ranking boost that you would get on a normal sale. Now the methodology is this. If somebody's willing to put their credit card against a book that is not even yet available, and they're going to get it in the future, the people behind Kobo realize or think, that must mean that they're so invested in wanting to get this book that it's really important. So if normally a sale of your book would go up X amount of ranks based on the sales per that day, and it changes all the time depending on volume, they automatically apply like a Dungeons & Dragons special bonus roll, 2 times bonus, and it'll go up twice the value. So you can sell a small handful of pre-orders on Kobo and be in the top 10 in your category, sometimes even hit the top 50. For example, it's so easy to hit the top 50 in the US because they don't have nearly as many US customers as they have Canadian. You could sell like 50 copies on Kobo in the US, and be a #1 bestseller that day for a limited time until something comes up. But you'd have to sell 500 in Canada to hit the same sort of ranking. And again, that's a demonstration that they are merchandising the sites differently across the regions. You can track your sales by territory, of course, see where in the world they're selling. And again, this was the sexiest thing from Kobo Writing Life. This is an example of Cheryl Bradshaw from years ago doing the really cool thing that you should do if you are publishing to Kobo Writing Life. Take a screenshot of your map, and if it's a bad month, just go back to the beginning of time. Don't just look at this month and go, well, I haven't sold much this month. Go like I go to the beginning of when I started publishing and go, oh my God, 89 different countries. Look at that. But tag them. That's a really important thing because there's humans paying attention to you helping promote their platform as well. This is an example of a dashboard when I was looking at, and I'm trying to remember the range. This is November, I can't do the math. Sometime it was this is free downloads of one of my short stories. And this is what you can see is obviously, take a look at that. Canada's kind of hot. Canada's kind of important, over 400 of them there. You got the US, you've got the UK, Australia, et cetera. So you can even see the percentage of the region is representative by the size of the dots. So there's a lot of dots where there's just a handful of downloads in some of the other countries, but that's actually relatively consistent with where the sales are at Kobo. So thinking, yes, Canada is probably where you're going to get a lot of your sales. A lot of people, Australia ends up being next. I do have a lot of readers in the US reading on Kobo for some reason. And then the UK. South Africa has always been in the top 5 to 10 countries, at least when I was working there. And you got New Zealand, India, Netherlands, et cetera. And then you can kind of see your sales by different titles, right? So you can kind of see this time around, which is the freebie. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of those, and then I'm going to get a much smaller percentage of people who move on to click to buy the first book in the series. Now, the question I often get, particularly because I am a draft to digital, is should I go direct or should I use a third party? And in all honesty, and yes, I have a draft to digital hat on right now, in all honesty, you will get more promotional opportunities if you're publishing direct with Kobo Writing Life. However, if you're not publishing direct with Kobo Writing Life, if you are using draft to digital, don't despair. There are still opportunities for you. And it can, regardless of whether you're direct with Kobo and you're trying to flip, you think, oh, I like Mark, I'm gonna go flip my stuff over to go through draft to digital, or if you're with draft to digital and you're thinking of flipping to go direct with Kobo, when you do that, you lose your ranking, you lose the temperature, which is what Kobo calls the hotness factor of your book. You lose your reviews. They may be able to transmit the reviews. They have had some issues with it in the past, but they will try to help you with that. But it's like starting from scratch because you lose all of that stuff. So I would be very, very careful. The ones I would consider flipping, if you are thinking of flipping, would be the ones that aren't doing all that well yet because you're not losing as much. So be careful about that. But there's pros and cons, right? Obviously, if you're publishing direct with Kobo Writing Life, and I'll share how to get the promo tab, you have opportunities. You can go with Draft to Digital or Smashwords or Publish Drive or some of the other aggregators. You can get in there just as well. The Kobo Writing Life team is only going to want to talk to you or help you if you're actually direct. So a lot of their conversation is going to only be, I'll help you if you're direct, but if you're not direct, good luck to you. So as wonderful and as lovely, and I love them all because they're a great team of people, but they almost feel like Amazon at that point. I'm not going to talk to you now. We pretend it's just a computer, right? Some people will use an aggregator just for the convenience and say, well, it's a small percentage of my income. I don't have time to go and log into 6 different systems. So I'm going to take some of my platforms and go through an aggregator and save myself some time. And yeah, and some systems only allow you to control US price. But so should I go direct or use a third party? The most important thing is whether you're going direct to Kobo Writing Life or using Draft to Digital or some other aggregator is, I'm obviously biased towards publishing wide. It's important that you go wide and stay wide because coming in and out of exclusivity with Amazon, every single time you do that, you're resetting back to 0. And it is not easy to get sales wide. It takes a minimum typically of 6 to 9 months to gain traction. So just going for 90 days is not going to help you. And if you're not willing to go for a full year, I would say, at minimum, to give it a really good shot and to try some tactics and strategies that are different than what you would use on Amazon, you may want to just stay exclusive because you're just going to frustrate yourself. And you may even frustrate potential readers who get all excited that they can find your books and then they disappear one day. It really does mess with the algorithms. It insults your readers in many ways too. And it may just insult the really kind Canadians who are polite and smile at you, but it may just insult them behind the scenes. And it may mess up your chances because it's that, well, I got a bad impression of this fickle person. You can get promotions via Draft to Digital. For example, if you are with Draft to Digital posting, it actually ends today. See me. You can go to d2d.tips/conference to get access to the form. I'll get Kara to email the form out to anyone who fills it out today. But this is for a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. But of course, you're going to get that opportunity if you're direct with Kobo Writing Life as well. This is just kind of what the form looks like if you're curious about that. I can even email it to you so you can fill it out before the end of the day today. There it is. There's the URL. Forgot that I put that in there. You go to d2d.tips/conference, and you can fill out a promo form if you're going to Kobo or other places through Draft to Digital. And you have your hand up already. But.
Well, I just want to ask about the last thing.
Yeah, ask about the last thing.
For that, do you know if they're kinder to things coming from Draft to Digital than if I put it directly in?
Okay, the question is, are they kinder to people who come from Draft to Digital through a form like that than direct? Yeah, just for the promo. So when Draft to Digital gets a promo with Kobo, it's through the same sales reps that work with Random House or Penguin or whatever. And typically, if you've submitted a good title and it's not off-brand, and the new form that we have actually prevents you from submitting something that's not in the right genre or not the right price point, it'll get accepted pretty much, unless it's horrible, unless crayon cover and it's just off target or whatever. But so let's say 98% of them will get accepted. Because there's always those ones. But that's only because there's not as many promos. Like for every one promo you get from Draft to Digital, you'll get 10 from Kobo Writing Life. So your chances of getting in are actually better, even though you get less opportunity. So it's that balance. If you're direct with Kobo Writing Life, you will not see the promotions tab. You also won't see the audiobooks tab. You can email the team, email writinglife@kobo.com and just say, hey, I was at 20Books and this really cool bald guy from Canada said, I could ask. They will give it to you. Unlike a Nook, they'll actually give it to everyone who asks for it. And so that promo tab is really awesome. This is kind of what it looks like. You can see I've had 7 declined. These are the 52 completed. So I can see the different titles that I've had promotions for in the past. And the key thing here with promotions is apply often. Here's the challenge. Now, when you're getting into these promos, they may be looking for 500 titles for a promo. And let's be honest, even if you get in that promo, and this is the truth, the reality is that they can only feature 30 to 50 titles on the main page, even fewer above the fold on the web page. So you may be in the promo, but you may be at the end of a carousel on the last page. It's not going to be all that visible unless you've done some stuff to draw people to it. Now, one of the things I will say, I will often, if I get in a Kobo promo, particularly if it's a price drop, like up below $4.99 or 99 cents or whatever, I'll book some newsletter bookings with Bargain Booksy or Fussy Librarian or eReader News Today the day before the promo starts. Because sometimes the way that Kobo will merchandise these things will be by default. They have different ways to merchandise the carousels. They can have fixed, like they always want this book at the top, and this book number 2, this book number 3. Oftentimes, by default, it sorts by the temperature of the book at the time they put it in, and it's dynamic. So if the book's temperature changes, it goes from page 16 on the carousel to page 1. So what sometimes I'll do is I'll try to run a newsletter promo, get a bunch of action just before they send the email out to their customers. And they will tell you when you get a promo, say, hey, we're going to email our customers in Canada on this day and in the US on this day, and here's the links, etc. So that sometimes your book can actually have a better chance of being visible, or the temperature is hot. So it's closer to the top of the list. And that's a really good thing to pay attention to. But, so they have 500 titles in a promo that they're looking for, and they get 1,000 submissions. Well, let's say after looking at 600, they've rejected 100 and they've accepted 500. They just bulk reject everyone else. And this is what BookBub does. This is what the newsletters where you get rejections. They're not, and this is really hard for us as authors, they are not rejecting you. They're probably just saying, well, they're not saying anything. There is actually a tool I built for them that they don't use. I said, just tell them that, hey, we didn't even look at your book, submit again. Because for me, I would go, great, they're not personally rejecting me. Because if I don't know, this is true, right? If you don't know why they rejected you, you assume, well, they hate me. right? That's what we do as authors. But they don't hate you, they love you. And so just keep applying. And if you're in a promo and it did SFA, do it again, try again, keep trying. You've got to keep trying. If you're trying so hard and you just keep submitting the wrong thing, they will eventually get annoyed and tell you, but don't worry, they're Canadian. They'll probably apologize before they tell you that. But the best promos by far on Kobo that have worked for me are the percentage off promos, which means the ones you don't have to change your price, but they will give a coupon code to customers, 30% off or 40% off. So there is no need to go and change the price on all the other retailers. There's no price matching from Amazon, and those ones tend to do well. The other thing about those promos is I just lost my train of thought, which often happens. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, take a few steps so that Mary, who I'm in a work week challenge with, sees that I'm walking and she's sitting. There we go. Those are the promotions that tend to work best. Pricing thoughts, as I like to say, is to write locally and price. Now, she's walking, you see, in the back of the room. You can't see her, but there she is, making me nervous. So you want to optimize your price in the territory. So this is my dashboard, so it's obviously going to show me Canadian first, but it'll show you, if you're in the US, it'll show you US. And then you have custom prices, and you have the ability to control them. At very least, I would say you want to do US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and euros. And New Zealand's a different one because on Amazon you don't have a New Zealand price. They just merged that with Australian, but you actually do have a unique New Zealand price. Because if you don't, you're leaving money on the table. So if you put in $4.99 US, it may come to $6.38 Canadian. Well, if somebody's going to pay $6.38 Canadian, they're going to pay $6.99 because in our heads we've already rounded up to $6.99. So it's very likely you're just going to make more money. And some studies we did when I was at Kobo showed that if a publisher did this, they could earn 18% more revenue in a given year because of all that change they were leaving on the table. They're also not necessarily seen as attractive. So if a UK merchandiser is looking at a book that you want to submit to a promo there, and they see that your price is not, now in the UK, by the way, or in euros, it's either .99 or .49 because the dollars are much stronger there. But if they see a weird Walmart price there, it doesn't look as natural as when they're looking at a book from Penguin, which is already going to be rounded to 4.9 or 9.9. So it just looks more professional. It looks like you're in the territory, behaving in the territory like the professional publisher that you are. You can do, on D2D, for example, this is what I do as an author, is I go to Draft to Digital first before I go to Amazon or Kobo or the other platforms, and I use their territorial pricing tool. So again, put in your US price, pops up this. The cool thing is Draft to Digital, Kobo will suggest your price for you, but Draft to Digital will automatically clean it for you. And that allows you to control it. You can check a box and control the price. But that's where I usually go into D2D, see what the price is. Sometimes I control it. I think maybe the New Zealand dollar one here was suggesting $7.99, but I thought, oh, that's a bit too high. I want them to pay less. Well, I want them to get a pretty good deal. So I dropped it down to $6.99. And then I checked it, which meant it locks it in. If the dollar was to dramatically change, they would adjust it accordingly for you on the fly. But I like to control my prices because you do have to have the same price at every platform. That is one of the things you probably never read in any of the terms for Kindle and Nook and Kobo and Apple, et cetera, but you can't have a lower price on any other platform. Now, Amazon's the only one that aggressively, comes to your house and kneecaps you. Will actually go an auto price match. But that is the law. You can't have a lower price anywhere. So I like to control them, lock them in, and then I take that price and then I enter them on Kindle and some of the other platforms, Kobo directly. Again, pricing thoughts, you may want to keep your price a little bit lower in the US because that is what the market is bearing. But I did notice that because the inmates run the asylum at Amazon, right? And it is all about bargain and lower prices. We just talked about this, the currency exchange. Those are just some examples so you can visually see them. And then manually adjusting the price. In the UK, the big publishers are they're not as aggressively trying to drive people towards the print book sales with a $15 ebook and a $15 trade paperback. They actually have some pretty legitimate lower prices. Even Bookouture, now owned by Hachette, still operates like an indie publisher, an indie author. And they price really, really aggressively low. So it's unlike in the States where you can price a book at 1/4 of the price of the major publisher's title. In the UK, it's a lot more aggressive. So you may even want to round a little bit down in GBP if you're trying to be competitive at the lower price. Euros, anywhere in the 50-50 range. It's usually pretty, because again, it's across the entire region. If you want to see global views on how Kobo looks to other people like me in Canada, where there's always a moose featured on the front page. When you're logged on to Kobo, you want to go up to, you'll see probably a US flag, and you click on the US flag, and then you can select other countries. You can scroll down, and it'll show you the pricing in that country. It'll actually probably say, if you're a US customer, it'll say you can't buy it. It'll actually click here to go to the country where you can buy it, but you can at least see it. So if you're in a promo featured only in Australia, you go, well, I can't see it. This allows you to go and see what a customer's experience would be. And that's really important, because one of the things that people forget about is, Amazon is the world's biggest bookstore. Most people are familiar with shopping on it, but they've never looked at the other stores. So go and look at Kobo. Go and look at what are they featuring in Australia? What are they featuring in the UK and Canada compared to what they're featuring in the US? What's best selling in these countries that actually get a pretty decent volume? Because if you're just looking at the US, you're actually getting, in my mind, if you go to Amazon.ca, you'll get a very substandard version of Amazon. And if you go to Kobo.com, the US merchandisers are awesome people, but they don't have as many customers, so you're probably getting not as sexy an experience as you would get in Canada, Australia, or some of the other territories where it's pretty hot. This is just some volume I thought I would share in terms of thinking of price point. And this is the volume. This is stats from 2017. I can share this because it was shared publicly when I was there. But this is the largest sales volume was between $3.99 and $5.99 US. And this is across all genres. And what you can see over here is the digital sets priced well north of $9.99. That's a significant whoa, because this is a really great opportunity I'm going to talk about later on that you don't get on Amazon. So the blue, by the way, is Kobo Writing Life titles, and the orange is the big publishers. So this was, now the orange would also include Draft2Digital and Smashwords and any of the aggregators, because they're treated like publishers on the platform. But what you can see is you've got your daily deals and your BookBubs doing stuff there, but the highest volume is still significantly in that higher. And there seems to be a bit of a lost opportunity at the $6.99, $7.99 price point in some cases, and it hasn't changed all that much in the last few years. So just to show you the difference, this is romance, so all genres. When you get to romance, you're really going south, because you have voracious readers who are going to read a book a day. They don't want to pay $16 for their ebooks. So the price points are going to be significantly lower. And when you move that over, and again, look at the box set stuff, it's even higher because of the great volume and the binge reading you can get if you get an 8-book series together. You got mysteries, thrillers, and suspense, and isn't that interesting how that changes compared to romance, where you've got that sort of $3.99 price point, and then you've got, it's sort of flat across the board. And there's obviously a lot more indie authors over on the left-hand side than are up in the higher price points. So again, there's some opportunity, and look at the box sets again. That's pretty significant. The merchandising is done by humans in 16 localized territories. They all have different bestseller lists. They all have different ranking systems. So again, if you're selling really, really well in a country, unlike the country you normally look at, and your ranking in the US is really horrible, go feel good about yourself and look at your ranking in a territory that doesn't have as much volume, and maybe you're number one. So those are really good for my ego at the very least. But you can also see what's important is you can see what's trending and what people are doing and what people are buying, and that's really important to just understand what's going on that end. Lauren Royal was the first author who had a big box set Blockbuster, and it was a giant box set for $19.99, and it was featured. Ironically, it was going out in a promo, and at the last minute, one of the people from the marketing team looking at it went, hey, that's a really cool title. Why don't we feature that as the hero in this email? She woke up. This is the year Gone Girl was the #1 bestseller everywhere. She woke up to be #1 with Gone Girl #2, and she made 70% of, well, it was $19.99 off, like whatever the percentage off was for that promo, for every single sale. Not 35 cents at that volume, but like $15 at that volume. So she was pretty happy. I think she had champagne right away, or opened something really expensive for breakfast that morning. but that stayed there. That was quite a significant thing because, again, there's no cap for 70%, and that's critical. You may not put that box set on Amazon because you'll lose money. It's okay. Amazon has a series page. You can do that. Take advantage of that awesome series page that they give you more power over. But on places like Kobo and Apple and Nook, 70% can be a huge thing. You can put a giant box set for $20, $30, $40. Give them a good value. It's still going to be a discount, but you're still going to look even better compared to the James Pattersons and the stuff that's priced at $15. Again, this is a complete Night Stalkers series from Matt Buckman. This is Chris Taylor. So the box set, Apple makes you have to have a flat. Kobo prefers flat over 3D covers. So these are just some examples. So there's ways to let people know that it's value. Some of the 3D stuff you can see in here where you can see all the books in 3D on a flat cover. And that's just because when you're looking at a carousel for featuring, it all looks consistent. It doesn't look like one's farther away. And again, you got to remember these are thumbnails and they want them to look good. You've got series metadata you can put in there that's critical and it's searchable on Kobo. And then that's really cool. And you can I actually have book 1.5 because it's a novella between books 1 and 2. You can actually do decimal points. So you can have 9 books between books 1 and 2 or 9 stories that take place sequentially between books 1 and 2, which you can do on Kobo quite brilliantly. That's a really important thing, that series metadata, whether you're entering it directly or through an aggregator, put that in, and you can have number 0 as well. Your item page metadata, some things is there's where your ranking is. You've got the reading time and stats, which kind of shows value. This is 231,000 words, estimated to take you 18 to 20 hours to read, and it's $3.99. So it's like, wow, that's a lot. It's going to keep me going for a while. Related titles, think of them like also bots. That is based on some of the algorithms, and it is automated. So that is based on behavior from customers. You've also got the reviews down at the bottom as well. Harder to get reviews, so do ask for reviews on Kobo as well. It's important. A study was done at Kobo years ago that showed a comp book that looked very similar. It was around the same price point, beautiful covers, they matched. If one of them had no reviews and the other one had even a single 1-star review, the book with a single 1-star review was twice as likely to sell. I know, because it was proof that somebody at least read it and cared enough to hate it. Like, so when I say, and here's why 1-star review is good. Pineapple on pizza is awesome. Yeah, see, oh my God, like some people are throwing stuff at me and other people are, yeah, that's awesome, amazing. That's a 1-star review. It just means that's pineapple on pizza for that person. The highest volume of sales would be romance, what we call more active romance, erotica, mystery, thriller, suspense, which is now competing neck and neck with romance, fiction, fantasy, YA, sci-fi. Free converting to sales is really, really valuable on places like Kobo. This was a study of 6 books in a series that we had done, and this is over the course of 6 weeks. So we watched a promo that they had done where they had over 12,000 free downloads, but most people who downloaded it never open it. Less than 20% of users open the book in the first 6 weeks. So even if you get a lot of downloads, it doesn't mean they're even reading the book. They take it and it's lost on their Kobo. Then you've got 80% of the users who open the book actually complete it, 18%, but 50% of the unique users who read the book buy 1 or more in the rest of the series. So once you get to that open to buy ratio, it's significant. So it goes from a 1.4% free to buy conversion to a 10.7% open to buy to a 51.6%. It was usually an average between 45 and 55%. And the question on that is this data can be available to you, yes. It is actually on the Kobo Writing Life blog. I can happy to share the slides with you if you want. Free still sells. It's a great way to get some reviews. You can request 100% off coupon codes. It's very manual. You can email the Kobo Writing Life team. You can even request them through Draft to Digital. Keep in mind it takes a long time when you're asking for anything manual. But you can get a 100% off coupon code. And a question there on that is? Okay. So the question is, if a free book has been reviewed, how does Kobo handle it? Kobo's like, great, we got a review. There is no weirdness like, yeah, you're dealing with nice people. Come on, this is an awesome place. You can use a universal book link. So if you want to see your book, like it's automatically going to show you US. There's a little thing you can do. You remove the US/EN ebook, and then just put kobo.com/ebook/ whatever the URL is. And it'll automatically take the user to their own territory. So that way you can have a universal link to your book on Kobo, not Kobo in the US and not Kobo in Canada. Or you can use, obviously, bookstoread.com, where you can get a book ebook, print, paperback, I should say, audiobook. Analytics are going to be really sexier now because they've just expanded. You can actually drill down and see even more analytics. This is just an example of one of my books and all the different links that I got. This is the month of October. You can put, even if you're not publishing, self-publishing, if someone else is publishing for you, like a publisher you're working with or whatever, this is a traditionally published book. I can still have a books to read link. Library distribution is critical. You can get to libraries Overdrive through Kobo Writing Life. You can get to Overdrive through Draft2Digital as well as some other library systems. Kobo Plus is significant. This is sort of the last thing I want to really harp on is it is like Kindle Unlimited without exclusivity, and it gets you to a completely, they've now launched, these are the territories. If you go into Kobo Writing Life, you can see all the territories they're available in, even Canada. And in the last year, the most significant growth on Kobo of revenue for authors and publishers was through Kobo Plus. It was a completely new customer base than the a la carte buyers. So it's not cannibalizing sales, it's bringing your books to new customers. And in some cases, you'll be like on Bol, which is where they launched in the Netherlands, you'd be on Kobo's regular catalog, Bol's regular catalog. But then there's an extra catalog for Kobo Plus on Bol, and so you're almost like in 4 catalogs instead of just being in 2. And that's great for visibility. They did launch audiobooks. You can get there either through Findaway Voices or some other distributor, or email the Writing Life team and they'll add the tab so you can upload audiobooks directly. This is just an example of the way audiobooks look. They link back to the ebook on Kobo and they show you the time read. They do have a blog and podcast. I highly recommend you go to kobowritinglife.com and check them out. Great articles. You can even offer to be a guest and talk about your experience writing different things to help other authors. You can check out the social media. This is Draft2Digital, and I didn't leave a lot of room for questions, so we only have about 2 minutes, but I did see some hands up. Yeah. Oh, the mic. Please go to the microphone so I don't have to repeat. That was a little high.
Okay, so if we're with Draft2Digital, can we still take advantage of the Kobo Plus that you were just talking about?
Yes. With Draft2Digital, with Kobo Plus, you can get in. Thank you. That was a great question. You can get right in. Yes, another question. I guess you can just cozy on up to the mic if you have a question. And
So,
she's crouching. It's really cute. I like it.
okay, so I've had an issue before when I tried to set up a promo for a free book on Kobo.
Yeah.
And I tried to set it up for a free thing and it said the book is not free, we won't. And then I set the price to free and it said this book is already on promotion, we won't.
Okay, that's
exactly the face I made. And
Yeah.
I really didn't get what was happening.
So that's a weird one. Was that done directly through Kobo Writing?
That was done directly through
Did
Kobo.
you email the team and say,
I did
what?
not. I asked my friends going, what the hell? And they said, yeah, we have that problem too.
That I would please raise that with the team because
Okay.
that sounds like a bug in the system, and I know
Yeah.
they will. They have a great dev team too.
Because
They'll
free
look
is
into
like
it.
my general
No,
sales
free,
strategy.
they love free.
And then
Free's
they wouldn't
big.
do it.
Yeah, no, that is weird.
Yeah.
That is really,
Okay,
really
cool.
weird.
I'll ask.
If your book is on a promotion already,
Oh,
you cannot go and schedule.
right. And that is okay. Yeah, that is true.
And that
so
was
the
me
comment
trying to
was,
set it free
Yeah.
so that the promotion would
yeah.
be able to encompass my book on Kobo, and they
Yeah.
said no.
So
because-
if your book is already locked into a promo through Kobo Writing Life, you can't.
Oh, no, it wasn't that.
No, it wasn't that.
It was,
Oh.
I'd set up a promo with a mailing list, and they
Oh.
wouldn't let me change the price to free because
That's-
it was already, it was
That's a
some
weird
thing.
one. Yeah.
It was one of those sentences that didn't really make sense, and I was just
Yeah.
wondering if you could make sense of it. But
I can't make
no,
sense
okay,
of it right
cool.
now.
I thought I'd
I'm
ask.
on Pacific time. I'm barely awake. So we only have 51 seconds. If you have any questions about either Kobo Draft2Digital, you can look for me, Tara, Dan, or Jeff, the Draft2Digital table at the back of the main room. And I do want to say, since I'm counting down to 39 seconds, I'm around. If you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to entertain you. Thank you guys so much. And just be patient with your sales at Kobo and stick it out for the long run.